Let me find a new place to live, bro. I can't handle these snakes. Whoa! What? Oh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Pay8. I'm feeling great, and I'm coming at you with another spicy deck profile. Today, we've got my pet deck. I've been playing OGDOADICs for a long time, basically since they came out. On and off, they were not a consistent deck for me to play, because on release, they were not very good. Then they got the continuous spell and Battle of Chaos. That kind of reignited my interest in the deck, and I've been fiddling with it kind of in the back of my Yugioh lab for a while, just trying to find the most playable build. I ended up playing it at Nats because it actually got me my invite. Therion of OGDOADIC did, the Invoke build did. Let me know in the comments if y'all want to see that. I'd be willing to update that. But I'm always happy to summon the snakes. So I'm aware that these are cards that almost no one has read, so I'm going to explain what they do to introduce you to the deck. So I'm not going to waste any more time, let's get right into it. So the snakes have the big snakes and the little snakes. So we are playing these guys. So, 3 Nunu, 3 Noya, 1 Zoha. These are the little snakes. Nunu and Noya are both Tri-Brigade Fractal for mirroring attributes of reptiles. Light sends dark, dark sends light, and then they have a bonus effect. Nunu, if you control no monsters or at least one OGDOADIC, summons itself from grave, but while it's on field summoned by that effect, you are reptile locked. Which does not matter, we just seize them off for King of the Fair Limbs. Occasionally it's relevant, but not usually. And then Noya on normal or special is a looper for the deck, adds an OGDOADIC spell or trap. The traps suck, you are never searching them because we don't play them, but there's a couple good spells, so it's pretty worth it. Zoha is your hand control. He has an effect if he is sent from field to grave or special from grave that sucks that you're never activating. But if he's in grave, you can send a card from hand to grave to add himself back to hand. So you send him off Nunu, and then you have, I believe, full combo with a discard. Like it's Nunu plus any discard, and then it gets you to your end board, which is pretty cool. And then these 4 are the big snakes. Curse tributes a monster, special summons itself, and then your opponent special a monster from their grave, but its effects are negated. You don't really care. This deck has access to a lot of removal, and typically they're summoning their monster in defense, which means you can just whack into it with a King of the Fair Limbs and then make Zeus main phase 2. Does not usually matter. We have so much removal to get rid of this stuff anyway. Like I said, it's usually fine. And then if he's special summoned, you can target a level 4 or lower OGDOADIC, typically Noya, to special summon it from grave, banish it and leaves the field. Again, it's just being used for rank 4s. It's not typically getting banished. He's how you grind. He's really good in the grind game, actually. Just getting searches and summon backs and bodies every turn is really, really good because you commit turn 1 and then every turn after they're just in grave ready for you to use again. So it's really good. Alarit sucks, but he lets me play around Bestials. If he's in grave, you can tribute a monster, special summon itself, then your opponent can add a monster from their grave to their hand. I hate that it does that, but again, we have to not let Curse get Bestial. And then if it's special summoned, you can target 2 of your banished reptiles, including a reptile, return them to the grave. If you have to like tribute off Nunu for any of your big snakes, or tribute off Curse, summoning Noya, like those get banished, it feels bad, but if Bestials fall off, I'm probably cutting him. And turn 1, sometimes just like to make Sargus, you need access to a 1 tribute level 8 monster. So he kind of fills that. The goal is to never, ever, ever summon him by his own effect after turn 1. Because in turn 1, it's fine. I don't typically have a monster in grave, so it's cool. You know, you don't really care. Otherwise, though, it just feels really bad to activate. Amnesia and OGDOADIC are the big snakes because some of them require different numbers of tributes. So Queen tributes 2 monsters, summons himself from graveyard. And if a monster, is special summoned from your opponent's grave except during damage step, you can non-targeting send a card they control to grave. That does not specify by their effect. So if you make like one of the Charmer links, and you summon something back to its arrow, and you have Queen on board, you still get Queen's effect to send a card that they control to grave, which is really good. Also, this punishes Curse's downside, so that downside that we spoke of, sometimes you can just turn off entirely, which is pretty good. And if a monster is sent from your opponent's hand or deck to grave, except during damage step again, you can special summon a light or dark reptile from your graveyard, non-targeting. So you just typically summon Big Snake off of that, and Big Snake tributes 3 monsters, special summons himself. You're never doing that. I've done that in the time I've been playing the deck. I've maybe done it like less than 5 to 10 times. Sometimes you have to do it, other times you can do it because it's funny, and we like making funny plays, so, you know. And then on field, once while he's face up, as a quick effect, he's just Boneless Zeus. He sends all monsters that are not special summoned from grave to grave. Really good versus Kashtira, okay versus Branded, crazy versus Sprite. It's, oh, also really good versus Sword Soul too. The Sword Soul matchup was one of the reasons I was playing this deck at Nats, because it did actually have quite a decent Sword Soul matchup. Eventually, I pivoted to a different build, and it wasn't as good because it didn't line up as favorably, but regardless, this card is very format dependent. Last format, it was awful because you would just be sending tier cards and then they would trigger their effects. Now I think it's pretty good again, so that's pretty alright. And then having an archetype Zeus that you can summon turn 1, I've heard is pretty decent, especially since he's so big. He's 3100, and I've realized that the difference between 3100 attack and 3000 attack is comically large. It is not as big as you think it would be. I'm sorry, it's bigger than you think it would be. Because so many monsters are just 3000. 31 is a very weird number to get over. So sometimes you just have decks that outing him is not impossible, but it's way more work than they would like to put in. So he's just a pretty good card. Really decent boss monster, honestly. But in the end, he's just a tool in the toolbox that this deck has. So I don't believe I mentioned already. Actually, I lied. I did. We're playing Therions because we have access to Sargus, because this deck can make Sargus really, really easily. We have a bunch of level 8s in the snakes. All the big snakes except for Overlord are level 8. Overlord's level 10 for some reason, but whatever. But we're playing Therions because we can search them. So 1 Regulus, 1 Lily, 1 Empress. If you've never heard of these cards before, I'm gonna go through them really quickly. So each of them have the effect to target a Therion card engraved. I'm sorry, Therion monster, or monster of their type engraved, who special themselves from hand and equip the targeted monster to them. The monster does not need to be equipped for the summon to resolve, as long as you just have something there to be able to target in the first place. So don't DD code these targets. A lot of people still do that. I don't know why, but you know, that's what it is. I guess they have walls attack, so I can't blame them. And then they each have their bonus effects, and if they're equipped to a Therion, the Therion that they're equipped to gains the bonus effects. So for example, we'll go with King and Lily, right? So Lily has the effect to send a card from hand or field to grave to add a Therion spell or trap from deck to hand, and Regulus has the effect to negate the effect that your opponent activates when they activate a card or effect by sending a Therion card from hand or face-up field to grave. Therion monster card, I'm sorry. Which again counts the monster that is equipped to it as material for that. You don't have to just send himself. So if they're equipped in the spell and trap zone, they're still monster cards. It's just worded weirdly. But the bonus effects that they give, even though Lily is not summoned in this case, so we're treating King as the summoned one and Lily as the equipped one, right? Lily gives the effect to search to Regulus. So if we have Regulus, we have Lily, we can use Regulus sending the Lily to add a Therion spell trap, which is pretty cool. And then Empress has the effect to discard a card, then target a Therion monster card in your spell and trap zone and special summon it. We're only playing her because she's a reptile, and that synergizes really well with snakes. So she's alright. Sometimes that effect is pretty decent just to make a free rank 8 because all the Therions are level 8, or at least the good ones that we're playing. So that's pretty cool. You want to keep the Therions tight though, just because of the fact that they can kind of brick you. So that's that. Snakes have an issue, and that issue is they never got a good normal summon. For a while I was playing Invoked, then I pivoted to Orchest, tried with like Phantom Knight, tried with Lunalight. There's a lot of different ways you can go. But one engine that got a lot better with Sargas's released is actually Time Thief. So we're playing 3 copies of Regulator, 1 Bezel Ship, 1 Winder, and 1 Adjuster. So these are the 3 extenders, and Regulator is the normal summon that you want to see. So if you control no other monsters, Regulator contributes itself to special summon 2 Time Thief monsters of different names from deck and defense. And they're all level 4, so free real estate right there. And then it says accept itself as well. That's why I have to play some of the weird ones like Adjuster's not particularly good, but she's still fine. And then when an Xyz monster I control is destroyed by battle while it's in grave, I can special summon this card to banish when it leaves the field. Sometimes stops your opponent from just killing you, which is pretty cool. Just remember that has that. So then we'll go through each of the targets really quickly. Winder can detach a material from Xyz you control to summon itself from hand, and if it's normal or special, it adds a Time Thief card from deck to hand, which is pretty cool. Bezel Ship, as a quick effect, contribute this card, target a Time Thief Xyz monster you control, and attach a card from your opponent's graveyard to that monster's material. Doesn't matter, we're not playing Redoer. You could if you want to. I think it's okay. But you're only really playing this card because of its second effect, because if it's in grave, you can detach a material from an Xyz you control to special summon itself, but banish it when it leaves the field. Free extension out of graveyard is always good. And then Adjuster, if you normal or special a Time Thief, except during the damage step, you can special itself from hand, and if it's normal or special, you can send a Time Thief card from deck to grave. However, you can only use 1 effect per turn. If you draw Regulator, you are using the summon effect. If you only draw this though, it just sends Bezel Ship so that you still have access to that graveyard extension if you draw like a Nunu, for example, because you can summon Nunu back, normal that, make King of the Feral Imps, and then go off. We're gonna see a lot of that in the test hands portion of the video. But these are just, it's a really tight package of extenders that I think is worthwhile playing. Also, they are laughably easy to get to with small world mines in the deck. I hope to show off that as well. But yeah, so new format, new hand traps. Last format, it was Bestials or nothing. Now we have to go back to playing conventional hand traps again, I believe. So I'm playing 3 Ash, 3 Nibiru, I think is going to be really good this format, and then 3 Imperm. The joke going around is you Imperm, Cash Tier, or Unicorn and they pass. There's probably some truth to that, and I think Imperm is just pretty good anyway. Because even last format, Imperming Kick Hollows was really good. We don't have that anymore, obviously, but just 9 hand traps is the minimum. I want to play a little bit more, but I think I just would rather see starters, and then in the side deck, I can side more hand traps if I need. I'm at 40. You could also just go over 40 and play more hand traps. There's no issue with that. But this is just kind of like my rudimentary idea of what I want to play. Feel free to add more though. This is kind of the part of the deck that's a little bit flexible, just because new format, we don't know what's going to be playable. And then the rest of the deck is just a bunch of power spells. So we have 3 copies of Small World and 3 copies of Snake Rain. So Small World, I'm not even going to try explaining this card. You basically go 1 trait of a monster into exactly 1 trait of another monster from deck, into exactly another trait of another monster in your deck, and you add that 3rd monster to your hand. That's as far as I'm going to get into it. This thing is worded like a nightmare, but it's okay. It searches Regulator 90% of the time, so that's good. And Snake Rain discards a card to send 4 reptile monsters from deck to grave. That's not once per turn, so if you draw multiples of this and they ash the first one, you can just say no and activate the second one. Does it feel good? You're losing your entire hand, but it's also very funny. So, you know, that's pretty cool. We play 2 copies of Water Lily and 1 copy of Serpent Strike. These are the OGDOADIC spells that we play. So Water Lily is always foolish. It just sends a reptile from deck to grave. Then if you have 5 or more reptiles with different names in grave, you can special a reptile from grave. It sends then checks, so if you have 4 with different names, sending a 5th, you can get the summon. And not just of the monster you send, you can summon any of them from grave, which is really good. Really, really good card. You don't want to draw multiple, and you have ways to search it. I like 2 because you want to draw 1 of these so that you can search the other one with Noya. I'm back and forth between 2 or 3. I fiddle with 3, I fiddle with 2. 1 is too little, so 2 or 3 Water Lily is pretty good. I just like 2 more. And then Serpent Strike is the continuous spell that really gives this deck its legs. So this gives the deck infinite grind game, which is really cool. So you can send a monster from hand or field to grave, then target a reptile in grave with a different original attribute than the monster you sent, and special summon it. Pretty good. And then during the main phase, either main phase. If a monster is sent to your opponent's grave, you can send a reptile from deck to grave. So this punishes hand traps, which is really good, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Punishing hand traps is always good. This also has interactions with Queen that we will get to in the test hands portion. Basically, if you have Queen in this, your opponent sends a monster from hand or deck to grave, you can go Chain Link 1 Queen, Chain Link 2 Serpent Strike, because this plays around your big snake getting Bestialed, because when the chain resolves, you send the big snake and then summon the big snake you just sent, which is really cool. It's a really good card, I think. Only one because it doesn't start your plays. Water Lily with like an adjuster or a bezel shift still gets your plays going. Strike doesn't do that, but Strike also grinds harder. So we absolutely play it. I think it's one of the best cards in the deck. It's really, really good. We play 1 Coliseum because it's searchable out the extra deck, and then we play 1 Call by the Grave. Just because I don't like getting de-shifted. It's really, really good just because of that. Shifter kind of pipes this deck, honestly, but, you know, we're trying our best. So that's it for the main. The extra is a little odd. I'm still trying to get it figured out, but I have a pretty decent idea of what I want to play. 3 King of the Feral Imps. This looks like a lot. Typically, you're making 2 in your combo, and you want the 3rd in the grind game just to make sure you always have materials to discard or pitch for, like your Serpent Strike, your Zoha, maybe like Foolish Another Reptile. 3 of this actually comes up surprisingly often. And it's also just a big rank 4 you can make while locked by Nunu, and you can just make a Zeus with it. I think it's just good enough to play 3 of. We're not playing like invoked cards or Orcus cards in the extracts loose now, so I'm not like all bent out of shape over it. It just is weird to see 3 of it. We play 1 Dweller and 1 Baguska because these are still going to be really good this format, and we can make rank 4s like nobody's business. We're not putting up multiple. That's just an option the deck has access to, is to just end on a rank 4 with Snake Access and Grave next turn. And I don't believe Cash has a convincing way to out Baguska with the Dingirsu on board, so that's pretty fun. As for rank 4s, bigger Xyz monsters, we play 1 Sargus. This is a busted piece of support indirectly for the deck. So it's got 3 effects, one of which is something with summoning with a Spriggan's Xyz. We're never doing that. So while it has material, you can add a Spriggan's or Therion card from deck to hand, and if a material is detached from a monster on the field except during damage step, you can target a card on the field, either destroy it or return it to the hand. Pretty good versus Sprite. Sometimes you can just end with this, and they can't ever really profitably gigantic, because then you just get to pop what they summon, which is cool. But it just searches the Therions in the extra deck. It's really, really good. Hope Harbinger is pretty nice, both because of the spell negation for obvious reasons, but also you are super consistently ending on an IP. An IP with Hope Harbinger, people forget that this redirects attacks, so that IP is almost never dying by battle, and that effect's not once per turn as well, which is pretty cool. Really, really good card. Probably the best disruptive rank 8 we have access to. I know the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord is pretty good as well, but I just think this is a little bit better for the attack redirection. Dingirsu is just fantastic at removing things. Super accessible because of the Therions and the level 8 snakes. And then Zeus, we play a lot of Xyz monsters, don't need to explain that. Now for the links. We play 1 Dark, because a lot of our deck is Darks. Because of the Therions, we could also play Ausa, depending on how good Cash is next format. You could cut this for Ausa, but both of them are fine. Just 1 of the Charmers. Again, remember this triggers Queen's sending effect, which is nice. IP, Unicorn, Apollosa, and Underworld Goddess. These 3 are typically made. 1 of them is made with IP. Goddess is really funny as well, because we can typically end with the basic combo can end with IP, Regulus equipped with a Therion, and then the Lily Borea. And we like having access to Goddess because Goddess removes a monster on their side of the field without having to discard like Unicorn does, which is really good. Also, Goddess on the opponent's turn is kind of crazy because we can also flex it as a skill drain, which is cool. Well, it's skill drain on summon, which is really, really nice. Goddess is actually a crazy card in this deck because we can spit out monsters like nobody's business. And then Apo and Unicorn go without saying, just really, really good link monsters. And then we play Access Code. He's alright. We only ever at max put 2 attributes of monsters in grave, but he just clears boards, so why not? So that is it for the deck profile portion. Let's get to the test hands because there's a lot of ways to play hands in this deck. Alrighty y'all, welcome to the combo tutorial slash test hands portion of the video. There's not really like a set in stone combo. The only one that really exists is if you draw just regulator, because Snake Rain, we don't really know how that combo goes because of the fact that if you draw one of the reptiles, you can send an additional different name and that lets you go off a little bit harder. So we're gonna run 3 test hands, and if we don't find regulator or small world to get to regulator in those hands, then I will show you what that combo looks like at the end. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into the tests. So hand number 1 is Nunu, Imperm, Regulator, Imperm. Hello, triple Imperm. But we drew Regulator, so let me show you what this card can do. So we're gonna normal summon the Robo Dog. Activate the effect of Robo Dog. That is going to get our copy of, we summon Winder and we summon Bezel Ship. Then Winder's effect will activate. That's going to add our copy of Adjuster from deck to hand. Drawing Nunu I think might also help me, which is pretty cool. So we will then seize, or King of the Fair Limps, activate King's effect, detach Bezel Ship. That is going to add our copy of Noya. Then we will activate Bezel Ship, detaching Winder to special itself from Grave. And then that will trigger Adjuster because the Time Thief was special to our field. We get to summon her for free. So we get that, and we will activate Noya, discarding itself to send a light reptile. The send is almost always Curse, and if Curse is engraved, then you send Big Snake. So Curse is online now. Because we also drew Nunu, we could take advantage of that. However, I'm just going to use this hand to show what just Regulator can do. So Curse will tribute King, Curse will summon back Noya, Noya will add Water Lily, and Water Lily will activate, sending Nunu from deck to grave. Then Nunu will summon himself from grave. We will exceed using Nunu and Bezel Ship into our copy of King once again. King is a soft once per turn, so we will use this effect. This time going to add our copy of Empress from deck to hand. And then we will activate Empress, targeting the King in our grave to summon and equip it. To summon itself and equip the King. Next, we're going to exceed Curse and Empress into our copy of Sargass. Sargass effect, that's going to add Lily from deck to hand. And then from there, we can link off the Sargass and the King for a copy of IP. So we get that. Then we will Lily, targeting Empress to summon itself and equip. Lily send Empress, that's going to add field spell from deck to hand. And then activate field spell to add a copy of Regulus. Now we have a couple different ways we can go. This is where the versatility of the deck really shows itself. So there's a lot of ways we can go about this. If you're against Tier, then you could just exceed these two into Abyss Dweller, and then you will end up summoning the Regulus. However, if you're against a deck like Kashtira or Branded, you're actually going to hold the Regulus, and you can just make Baguska and summon that. Actually I lied, you're still going to Regulus, but you're not going to have the negate with that. The reason you're summoning Regulus is because you want to be able to maintain Baguska and also use IP 2 more of your monsters and then 1 of our opponent's monsters on their turn to make our copy of Goddess. This is not what you do against every deck, but just the Regulator line lets you put up an additional rank 4. It gives you 1 extra level 4 at the end of combo, which is enough to give you a rank 4. And the rank 4s I think are still really, really good this format. Obviously Dweller was insane last format, we know this. But I think being able to leverage Baguska and Dweller in the deck is a massive, massive benefit. So that does it for the first hand. That is the Regulator combo. You can see just how versatile it is. Let's get into the second test hand. Also, if you're afraid of your IP getting destroyed by battle, you could actually make the, and if you're making Dweller, you can actually use the Regulus and the Lily, I believe, is on field at that point, and make Hope Harbinger, which lets you redirect your attacks, which is pretty cool. So, hand number 2, as soon as I get my extra deck put away. You can also see what I meant when I said that you actually do kind of want having the third King of the Fairlamps, because we did 2 in the combo. So just having that third one to get one final search on turn 3 really can just be a huge... It's really nice to have. I've quite enjoyed it in the testing that I've went through with this deck, but yeah. Alright, test hand number 2. What do we got? One final cut, top 5. We have Ash, Nunu, Curse, Lily, Strike. That's pretty good. Let me show you what this hand can do. So we will activate Strike. Because we also drew Lily, we get to do full Therion combo without even making Regulus, and without making Sargus, which is pretty cool. I'm saying that a lot, I apologize. Nunu is going to pitch himself to send a Dark Reptile. It's going to send our copy of Zoha. Zoha Engrave is going to pitch Curse, add himself back to hand. Normal summon. Actually, I lied, we do this. We summon Nunu first to play around Bestials. Special, normal, Xyz. King of the Fairlamps. Effect. Detach, we're going to add our copy of Naya. We already drew Curse and had a way to put it in Grave, so we will use Naya, discarding herself. We're going to send Overlord from deck to grave. Then we will Curse Tribute King, summon itself. Curse target Noya Engraved, special. The Noya effect to add an OGDOADIC spell or trap. That's going to give us our Water Lily because we drew Serpent Strike, which is pretty cool. Pretty good, even. Next, we will activate... This is a funny way to do it. We will Water Lily. This is going to send Empress from deck to grave, and it's going to summon back Big Snake. So we just did that for free. Then we will Lily, targeting Empress to get that. Lily sending Empress, gonna add our field spell. And then activate field spell to get us our copy of Regulus. Next, we just Regulus targeting Empress. And then we get to link off these two. Noya gets banished, which is a little annoying, but it's fine. Strike is going to get to send a Noya from our deck to our grave during our opponent's turn when we activate either IP into Goddess or Overlord effect to send. So we make IP. That is also a pretty good board. We got Boneless Zeus, we got Nami Negate, we have an Ash Blossom, just for whatever reason we may need that for. And then we have IP, linking off these three, and our opponent's monster, once again, into a Goddess. That's not bad. That's a lot more than Snakes were ever able to do in the past. Take it from the guy with experience. I don't miss the days when we didn't even have Strike, because that build of the deck sucked. Alright, so we drew Regulator already. We got one more test hand. Let's see what we got. Final test hand, we've got Nunu, Snake Rain, Adjuster, Ash, Imperm. Awesome. So, Snake Rain with Adjuster is combo, Nunu with Adjuster is combo. So we're actually going to say that the Snake Rain even gets Ashed because we don't need it to resolve in this hand. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to activate Snake Rain, that's going to discard Nunu, the Ash Blossom. Too bad, so sad, we have combo anyway. Nunu special, normal Adjuster, effect to send Bezel Ship. So we do that, then we will Xyz for King, big surprise there. King effect, detach Adjuster, add Noya. We will Bezel Ship, detach Nunu, summon itself. Noya pitch to send Curse. There he is. Curse Tribute King, summon itself back. Curse target Noya. Noise effect, she's going to add our Water Lily. Hello? If I could not throw my cards, that'd be really nice. We will Xyz once again into King, activate King's effect, detach Noya. Going to add our copy of Empress. Where is she? There she is. Yep. Activate Empress, targeting King. Special and equip, and then immediately Xyz these two into our copy of Sargus. Sargus will activate its effect. Going to add Lily from deck to hand. Right at the top, always, always, always. Link 2 into our copy of IP. Then we will Lily, target Empress. Lily sending Empress, I'm not even gonna get it out. Add Coliseum, activate Coliseum, add Regulus. Regulus targeting Empress, and then we have some decisions to make. So in gray we have King, Curse, Noya, Nunu. That's 4 reptiles. Water Lily will get us the 5th, but where do we want to go with the Water Lily? There's a couple different ways we can do it. What I think I'm probably been doing most in this format is activating Water Lily, of course, sending our copy of our copy of Zoha, just to make sure that we have a normal summon next turn, because that can discard what we draw for turn if we need to get itself back, and then it's just a free level 4 reptile, which is good. So we're gonna send that and actually special summon back our copy of Curse. And then from there, we can Xyz Curse and Lily into Hope Harbinger. So this can negate all kinds of things in this format. There's a lot of spells in the format now. The only deck right now that isn't playing a lot of spells is like Tier, and even then you negate the effect of like their field spell, which can be pretty big. Seems pretty nice. Also redirecting attacks away from your IP so that you can use it at the most optimal point is always going to be good. And then we're back in this up with double hand trap because we were just able to combo like that. That was it, the Snake Rain even got ashed. Ain't that crazy? But that is the board. This is kind of the dream, you know? If you get to this, you were chilling because we haven't even seen the grind game this deck has access to. Remember, you have all your once per turns engraved. You have your Curse, your Noyas, your Nunus getting you searches again. You have free materials for King of the Fair Lynx that gets you another reptile search, which means more reptile extension. You can just make access code on the crackback for free if you want to. Or, if you want to grind, you can just make a big ol' Appaloosa with a big snake. Tell your opponent out this after whittling down their resources to almost nothing the first turn anyway. That seems pretty good to me. But that does it for the deck profile. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you want to see more, please make sure to subscribe. If you like this video, please make sure to like it. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to see what you guys have to say. I made sure to turn the music down a little bit this time. I remember there was some complaints about that last time. So I hope this is a little bit better. But I have been Pay8. I'm still feeling great. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.